kind of like the guys who have the foursome who play golf on a weekend, just kind of meeting for lunch in the middle of the week, right? Here we are all gathered to talk about what's going on in the NFL. Rodney, when you heard that Tua is going to be the starter next time Miami plays, what was your first thought?
Well, I trust Brian Flores. Brian has the opportunity to see these guys in practice and meetings. He see their attitude. He see how the team is responding to all the different players, and I trust him. I trust that he's done a really good job of surrounding him with quality players, big wide receivers, athletic, a good running back, good tight ends, and good leadership on the defensive side of the ball, Coach.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the question was, when is Tua going to be ready physically? When does he feel like, hey, I'm okay, I'm over this surgery? And then mentally, do I have a handle on the offense? And as soon as that happens, I think you've got to put him in there. And I didn't think it was going to happen now because Fitz was playing great, is playing great. But Tua's the future, and you've got to get him in there. I agree with you, Rodney.
And, you know, I hope that this is Brian Flores making a decision based upon where Tua currently is, what the locker room wants, and not any type of pressure from above in the organization all the way up to ownership. There has been some talk that it was an ownership pick of Tua with the 5th overall selection, and that if there is pressure from the owner to get this guy out on the field so they see what they have, that makes it a little more awkward. But I still endorse the idea of finding out what this guy has. Let's go. Let's see. They may have the #1 overall pick by the time April rolls around if the Texans continue to lose football games, and they may be looking at Trevor Lawrence. So let's see what Tua has before we have to make any decisions about next year.
Can I just ask the question in the vision through the 2020 prism, where nothing in the future is guaranteed? Sunday, I watched New England. Monday, I watched Buffalo. Miami looks as close to being a division champ than they have looked in the last 7 years. So, Tony, when I saw that, I go, okay, I get it, but I don't get it. Am I crazy?
Well, I'm with Rodney, and Rodney has more history with Brian Flores than I do, but I've talked to him 4 or 5 times, and to me, he is making decisions on what's best for this team. Yes, he's looking at the future, but he realizes, hey, we're 3-3, and we can be right in this. If we don't win the division, we can be a wild card team. So if he doesn't think Tua gives them a chance to do that, he's not going to put him out there and have him ruin the season. My guess is that he's got confidence in him, and he thinks he's going to be fine.
And, you know, that's a great point because last year they had every reason to keep Josh Rosen on the field to see what he could become. Yeah. And Brian Flores decided, no, Fitzpatrick gives us a better chance to win. That's the guy we're going with.
All right, I'm outvoted 3-1. That's fine. That's good. I'll defer to all you guys on this one. and I'm sure Rodney will remind me if I'm wrong. I'm excited to see Tua, though, play. And it's good that he gets the bye week to kind of get ready for what's coming up here in a couple of weeks. Let me spin it to a team I mentioned just before that, Rodney, and that's Buffalo. At Buffalo, you felt good about when you watched them in September, and then against 2 teams that we think are pretty darn good in Tennessee and Kansas City, maybe we realize the level of the water for where we gauge the Bills going forward.
Well, I was really shocked because a couple weeks ago I was just praising the Bills' offensive line and how well they played against the Rams and how well they played against Aaron Donald. And it was just very surprising to see them get dominated on both sides of the field. And I look at Buffalo defensively, and I'm sitting there looking at the television thinking like, okay, Leslie Frazier, defensive coordinator, be a little bit more aggressive. Go after Patrick Mahomes. Don't sit back in zone. So I'm sure when they're watching film, Coach, I'm sure Leslie Frazier said there's maybe some instances where I should have been a little bit more aggressive, but they have to get their middle linebacker, Matt Milano, back. It seemed like they missed him dearly.
They're missing some run stoppers up front from last year. They're missing Matt Milano for sure. They haven't been the same unit. And, again, we're starting to see them play against better teams. And to me, that's the whole focus of these next few weeks. When the good teams start playing each other, it's going to sort itself out.
And that's the reality with the Bills, to start 4-0 and then to get rattled back-to-back games in primetime, losing to the Titans and then losing to the Chiefs. They have to be doing some soul-searching, wondering where they are. Josh Allen, MVP candidate through 4 weeks, now not looking as good as he did in the early part of the season. And you're right, as these good teams start to play other good teams, we find out teams we thought were good maybe aren't all that good after all.
Well, I know my comrade Rodney Harrison's going to get on me. I was on the Cleveland bandwagon, and they looked pretty good playing 4 kind of mediocre teams. Played great, but they played 2 games against really good teams, and they got stoned both times, by Baltimore first game and then by Pittsburgh last game. So how good is Cleveland? The jury's still out.
And, Coach, with the Buffalo Bills, I was really surprised with Josh Allen and just how inaccurate his passes were. It wasn't like he was taking a bunch of shots down the field, and he was overthrowing guys. But also on those shallow crossers, on those short and intermediate routes, definitely a cause for concern, I believe.
Yeah, and I thought
really
it may have been the conditions, but you know, Patrick Mahomes threw it well in that rain and wind and whatever was going on up there, so he was off a little bit.
Doesn't matter if it's Sunday, Monday night, Monday at 5 o'clock. Bad weather in Buffalo in the fall is something you can count on. And by the way, it's a veteran coaching move. You know, when they've beat you with one play once, figure out a way to stop it. So instead of waiting for Rodney to drop the Cleveland hammer, Tony took it out of his hand. That is veteran coaching, and don't you miss that move, young coaches out there going forward. Speaking of Pittsburgh.
Hey, Tirico.
Go ahead.
Tirico, I'm sorry. I just, you know, I've been with this guy. This is my 12th year with Coach Dungy, and he gets so excited when teams get out to a fast start, and he's so quick to jump on that bandwagon. And sometimes I just got to pull him back and humble him and say, Coach, slow down. It's only been a month or so. Don't get too excited.
See, look, he's just accepting it.
Yeah.
Accepting it, and he'll move on. We'll visit back on that in November. Let me ask you guys about Pittsburgh, who did play Cleveland and won in a dominant fashion, and Tennessee, who went to overtime. And I love the stuff Mike Vrabel's doing, team building, COVID, whatever it is, and the little wrinkle, the little rule in the playbook that he found, in the rule book that he found, that's very much up the Belichick tree, Mike Florio, of let's throw a 12th guy out there, take the penalty, and help speed the clock up so we can get the ball back. That was all-time Belichickian, and it was really, really impressive. And now they play Pittsburgh, and we look forward to a great game with them on Sunday.
Well, and the reporters asked Mike Vrabel about that Monday, and he said, we need to do a better job with penalties. My thought is you're doing a pretty good job with penalties when you're intentionally taking them to help you win a football game. You have cracked the code on the rule book. But, you know, this is old school. I wish there was snow in Nashville at any time, especially in October. This just feels like one of those games where it's 1970s and it's strength against strength. It's physical defense for the Steelers against that physical offense. And I think Ryan Tannehill is going to be the key, because if the Steelers are going to take away Derrick Henry, and the key to Henry is you got to get him in those first couple steps before he gets that head of steam going. It's going to be on Tannehill to find open guys. And I tell you, the thing that stood out to me watching the Steelers-Browns game, that secondary is so confident in everything they do. Pre-snap, post-snap, they know where they're going, what they're doing. The Minka Fitzpatrick pick six, I guarantee you he knew exactly what was coming. That defense has got it going like it hasn't had in a long time, and it's going to be a real test for the Titans.
Well, I look at the Titans, and to me, losing Taylor Lewan at left tackle is a huge loss for him. I mean, this is a guy that is an absolute stud, one of the top 2 or 3 left tackles in all of football. He brings attitude, he brings toughness. And when you have to go against Pittsburgh and all the different looks that they give you, it's going to be tough. And you're right, Mike. Ryan Tannehill is the key. He's going to have to try to make some plays with his legs, but not too many, because they have so much speed from sideline to sideline. Yes, the secondary is good, but like Coach and I say every single week, there's a lot of holes in that secondary. And if they can protect Ryan Tannehill, they'll give him an opportunity with, you know, A.J. Brown and Khalif Raymond and Jonnu Smith and those guys. They've done a wonderful job getting contributions from some of those lesser-named guys.
And you know the best way to protect your quarterback and slow down a pass rush? Run the football. So I look for a lot of Derrick Henry, and there's no guarantee Pittsburgh's going to stop him cold. I mean, they may slow him down, but I look for Derrick Henry to be the big factor in this game.
And I love the point you made, Rodney, off of that. With all the attention on Henry, a bunch of guys are developing, like Anthony Ferkser, the tight end out of Harvard, who had a touchdown in the playoff game against the Pats. He had 100 yards. He had a key block coming off the wing in motion. I mean, they're really utilizing everybody and getting the most out of them, Rodney. And that's why you're starting to really see a lot of evidence building in the favor of Tennessee could be as good as anyone in the NFL right now.
Yeah, and they truly remind me. That team really reminds me of some of the Patriot teams that I was on. How unselfish this team is. They're very smart. They like when we used to be in meetings, Mike Vrabel was so smart. We always knew that he was going to be a head coach because he was always the smartest guy in the room. He was very sarcastic, like most coaches, Coach Dungy. But he was just so smart, and we knew that we thought he was going to be the head coach of Ohio State. And he ends up being a head coach of the Tennessee Titans. And he texted me last week, and I just said, Coach, congratulations, great win. He says, I love these players. They play so hard for one another. I'm lucky to be their coach. So he loves his group of guys.
Mike Florio, I just want to bring up two quick places in the NFL that constantly are in the news, and not because of good news on the field. The Jets and Dallas. It seems like each game it's getting incrementally worse, which is shocking in Dallas because Mike McCarthy was coming in, Jason Garrett. This has kind of been going down one direction for many, many years, the last 3 or 4 years. Now you're starting to hear players whisper, the dreaded anonymous player whispers. It's a bad scene with what's going on, especially the way they lost on Monday night to Arizona.
And imagine how bad it would be if they were actually in a division that had good teams in it. They're in first place. That's what's amazing about it. Now, I don't know that they can hold first place, but Jerry Jones said on Tuesday it's manna from heaven that they're in this division where the next best team is 1-4-1. And so, they need to get the offense better. Ezekiel Elliott's got this fumbling issue in his head that he's got to figure out how to quit thinking about it, how to hold on to the football. The defense, it can't get much worse, so they got to work. And Mike McCarthy acknowledged this yesterday. It's on them to figure out what their guys can do, to coach their guys up to do what they're supposed to do. And I think at some point, you got to forget what the system is, and you got to do what the guys who you have on your team are capable of doing. And I think as it grows and evolves, maybe the defense can get better. Again, it can't get much worse.
And, Tony, that's the worst thing to hear, the anonymous locker room quotes, right?
You know what? That was always my first speech to my team every year. Let those guys know we're not going to have that. I learned that from Denny Green when I was an assistant with him. He said, I'm telling you right now, fellas, we don't have anybody on the team named Anonymous, so I better not hear from them. They got the message. They got the message very quickly.
And guys, it's also up to that leadership in the locker room. When guys are talking to reporters and stuff like that, it's up for those leaders. DeMarcus Lawrence, you're getting paid over $100 million. You need to bring everybody together, have a players-only meeting. And for the life of me, I don't understand. When you have a team that has played and performed so poorly, how do you not cut 2 or 3 guys? And maybe that gets somebody's attention when you start seeing some starters being released and other guys let go.
Rodney, I know you got a tea time, so I want to get you going. So let's
I don't have a tea time. I have allergy.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Famous last words. I got to run to the grocery store on the way to the golf course. Las Vegas is playing Tampa on Sunday Night Football. An intriguing matchup. We saw the Raiders win at Kansas City and then go on the bye. Is there any chance Derek Carr can beat Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady in back-to-back starts?
It just depends on if he comes out with the mindset that I'm just going to let it rip and I'm going to throw the ball down the field. I like that. I like that aggressive mindset. It feels like he has something to prove. Or will he revert back to what I used to call him, check down Charlie, a guy that's just going to feel the pressure, check the ball down, and become scared? I think that's one of the things that I'm looking for, Coach.
Well, the Raiders had a very good package for Kansas City's blitz, and they made some big plays. They bring that back out again because Todd Bowles and the Bucs are not going to let them run the football. They've got a great defensive front seven. They stop the run for everybody, so they're going to be on top of Josh Jacobs. Derek Carr is going to have to win it. They're going to pressure him, just like they did Aaron Rodgers. Now, can you make some of those same plays up the field? It's going to be on Derek Carr. He's going to have to outplay Tom Brady if they're going to win this game.
And I want to see which Buccaneers team shows up. If it's the team that we saw at Soldier Field against the Bears a couple of weeks ago, I don't really believe. But if it's the team we saw against the Packers, I believe. And they're still working it through. They're still trying to get better. They're still coming together as a team. We see Rob Gronkowski having his best game of the season. We see some of these receivers getting healthy. And we see that defense. That defense is getting to the point where it may be the best defense the Buccaneers have had since the days of Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks and John Lynch. Not that it's going to be at that level, but there hasn't been a defense in Tampa like that since then.
Looking forward to the game. There's a bunch of things going on in there, a bunch of storylines. You got John Gruden coaching the Raiders, of course, coached the Bucs in the past. So you got all that stuff going on. And On top of all that, you've got Hall of Fame tight ends. You got Jason Witten there, and obviously Gronk. So a ton of good storylines. And you know what, guys? Every Sunday night game's been close. Fourth quarter, those Sunday night games have come down to the last possession every week this season. I hope this one does too. It'd be a lot of fun. All right, Rodney, hit him straight. I mean, good luck at the allergy doctor. I'm sorry.
Mike, I'm playing golf tomorrow, okay, just for your information, not today.
So that's why the allergy checkup today. Make sure my allergies are okay for the golf course tomorrow.
Guys, have a great day. Thanks for having me on, Mike Florio.
And Rodney has said goodbye for us, so we'll see you on football night, 7 Eastern, before the Raiders and the Bucks on Sunday Night Football. Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.